Chaos erupted just moments ago at a demonstration in the Greek capital, causing thousands of anti-austerity protesters to scatter. This is outside the Parliament building in Athens. Demonstrators are angry about new belt-tightening measures that lawmakers are expected to vote on in the coming hours. They're required before European creditors will release more bailout cash. A Eurogroup meeting on Greece is set for Monday. For more, we're joined by Michael Jacobites from the London Business School. Michael, just a short time ago we saw people throwing Molotov cocktails, protesting outside Parliament. What's going on there? Why are people so angry?
Well, people are angry because the measures are quite painful. But I think that what's happening here is not just the sense of déjà vu that we had seen lots of protests, and we now have voting of a new set of measures that are even harsher than anything that had been voted in the past in Greece. Of course, they have to be, because unfortunately the economic situation in Greece is much worse. What's different is that these protests are against Syriza, that just a few months ago, or just over a year ago, was leading all of these protests and suggesting that it would do exactly the opposite of what it has had to do today, largely because of the way that it's run the economy over the last year, and only partly because of what's happening in the negotiations with the creditors.
That's right. Lawmakers are there, of course, debating whether to raise tax hikes and whether they should go ahead with pension cuts. These people have been facing austerity measures for a long time now. Where is that debate at amongst lawmakers?
Well, I don't think that there's much of a debate because what has happened is that we have shifted from the effort to have some at least consensual policies to Syriza that took over the negotiations. And you may recall the big bravado and the crisis that we had last summer that suggested that they might create a Grexit and that all hell would break loose. Well, eventually they had to come to terms with reality. They ran out of money. They agreed with the IMF and the Europeans to have a new set of measures, but the economy has tumbled as a result of the capital controls and as of the result of the breakdown of the previous negotiations. So what we now have is some measures that appear to be substantially worse. And what's more worrisome, these are measures that are very unlikely to be effective. The IMF itself is suggesting that taxation is too high and that the measures may be counterproductive. But this is the only solution that Syriza thought that they had in order to at least meet the numbers, in order to get some short-term funding from the European Union and hopefully get the economy back on track. I also see that you're witnessing the beginning of the end for the Syriza administration. I don't think that we're going to see this government last too long. It's alienated all of its political supporters. The promises that it had given in a strong populist rhetoric have now been blown up. And I think that you are seeing probably just an effort to simply cling on to power as opposed to have any sense of radical reform.
That's right. They have certainly backtracked on a lot of their promises. But if not tax hikes, what's the solution?
The thing that we have to consider is not just austerity. And I think that if you only look at austerity and you think about the numbers, we're really missing the picture. What is important to see is how the Greek economy and the state have been run over the last year. And unfortunately, what we have seen is the worst type of nepotism and cronyism from the Syriza government, and a lack of belief that there's going to be the long-term horizon for the investments to rebound. The story is that if this gets passed, then we're going to have a 13% increase of investment. Given the current political climate, given the fact that many of the Syriza ministers are actually against the policies that their own government espouses because they are statist of the old sort, I think you will not see this huge rebound in investment. And I think that politically they feel not really being able to still run it, which is why I suspect that sooner rather than later you're going to see political developments before we see economic change in Greece.
Okay, Michael Jacobites, we'll have to leave it there for now, but we will stay across this story. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.